Welcome to this ToK short video on the character wheel of development. What is the best way to understand someone's character and domains of development? Is it by understanding their underlying subconscious drives and motivational conflicts like Freud suggested? What about considering the way they construct their understanding of the world, as George Kelly argued? Or what about traits and domains of individual difference? From a unified metapsychology perspective, what is needed is a relatively straightforward, comprehensive, and a map that effectively incorporates key insights from the major traditions. The character wheel of development provides a way to map these key domains. First, let's note why it's in the shape of a wheel. The idea is to give a dynamic, active, developmental flavor to personality. Each area around the rim emerges over time and are shaped by the terrain. The center of the wheel is character adaptation systems theory. Indeed, we can put the wheel on the cast diagram as follows. Then we can move around the wheel to identify the different domains. First, we have the dispositional traits, then identity, then values and virtues, then abilities, and then pathology. With regards to traits, these are perhaps the best research domain of personality. Psychologists have identified 5 broad trait clusters, referred to as the Big Five, that are largely present across cultures and generally remain consistent in adults after the age of 25. The 5 primary domains are neuroticism, which refers to one's level and tendencies towards negative affect; extroversion, which refers to one's positive affect tendencies and tendencies towards social engagement; agreeableness, which refers to one's degrees towards tender-mindedness and going along to get along; conscientiousness, which refers to one's achievement, organization, and orderliness; and openness refers to the extent to which one explores and seeks out new feelings, experiences, and ideas. It is worth noting that recent research has identified some personality types based on configurations of these traits. For example, there is likely a role model personality that is marked by low levels of neuroticism and moderate to high levels of the other traits. The next domain is identity. This refers to a person's narrative of self and includes their self-concept and their level of ego development. It also includes their levels of self-reflective awareness, their sense of agency and self-control, and the complexity and coherence of their identity across roles and domains. In addition, it connects their place in public as one's identity relates to how one is seen by others. Values and virtues refers to the moral, values, and character virtues and strengths of an individual. There are a number of different approaches that can be useful here. For example, positive psychologists have identified a group of character strengths and virtues that overlap, but some focus more on individual virtues, whereas others more on moral values. Some virtue domains are wisdom and knowledge, cultivating intellect and understanding; emphases on justice, fairness, and equality; the virtue of love and a sense of humanity that embraces and cares for all; the virtue of courage and standing up to one's fears to achieve valued outcomes; and finally, prudence to regulate and moderate in order to not engage in excesses. Abilities refer to the skills and talents an individual has to function effectively in the environment. Intelligence is probably the best studied ability, and recent developments in the Cattell-Horn-Carroll theory of intelligence provide useful map of this complicated construct. Some key domains are analytic intelligence and one's visual spatial abilities. Howard Gardner made useful contribution to the concept of abilities with his notion of multiple intelligences, in quotes. These domains include elements such as one's music ability or athletic ability and socio-emotional skills such as one's self-reflective awareness and ability to read emotional states in others and respond accordingly. The final domain refers to one's pathologies or challenges and vulnerabilities, and this can be thought of as a DSM-like characterization of difficulties in functioning. and might include things like mood and emotional regulation, dysregulation problems that would be associated with depression and anxiety conditions, behavior regulation problems, which would involve things like both impulsive mood disorders and addictive behavior problems or eating disorders, identity and relational problems, which would correspond roughly to the personality disorders, cognitive processing problems, which would involve issues with attention, or in elderly and other conditions, elements like dementia. And finally, cognitive content problems, which would involve things like the capacity to think clearly and when on substances or experiencing severe mental illness breakdowns that would be characterized by psychotic episodes. Ultimately, CAST and the Wheel of Development provide a comprehensive map of the primary domains of human personality, both in the way in which they're organized and setting the stage for how they develop across time and context.